Greetings, we're back with the third song from the Ultravox album Rage in Eden. Your first sort of wake-up call was the voice, and then you find that we stand alone, which then leads on to the Rage in Eden, which is also the album name. Eden is referenced as being the garden, but remember we're talking about this in a spiritual sense, and so this garden, this Eden, it's where you plant the seeds, the ideas. It's the garden in the mind. The seeds are the ideas. So we do the straight reading of the lyrics to start with of the song, which is also the album name Rage in Eden. We sit and watch these lifeless forms, stark and petrified. The high suspense of an empty stage drawing in, clutching to its breast. With murmured words, we sigh and focus on the main facade beyond the hard, reluctant windows. News from magazines. We wrote their names on books we'd borrowed as if to bring us closer still, and threw it all away to focus on the main facade, Rage in Eden, jigsaw sequence, but no one could see the end. And they were the new gods, and they shone on high. Their heavy perfume on the night sucks them down in red tide. All is through the looking glass. Focus on the main facade, Rage in Eden, jigsaw sequence, but no one can see the end. Disciples of the new way, portraits in the sand. See when they run their longest mile, holding caps in wet hands, eyes upon them trying to focus on the main facade, Rage in Eden, jigsaw sequence, but no one could see the end. So, we go through the song and I'll give you an interpretation. I mean, I think just listening to those lyrics with what has been going on over the last year, some of it is readily apparent. I mean, but what is a facade? It's a portrayal of something that is not. You could say it's ISIS is, because it is not is, it's a false is. So, we sit and watch these lifeless forms stark and petrified. I think all you need to do is go out into the streets, look around you, that one will be quite obvious. The high suspense of an empty stage, drawing in, clutching to its breast. What is the high suspense of an empty stage? Pretty much everything material that is coming through in this illumination from the screens, the television sets. Drawing in, clutching to its breast. That's the fear. The fear porn that is being given to you, those awful scripts that you don't have to take. With murmured words, we sigh and focus on the main facade. Well, that's pretty much talking about this truth community, this lie-exposing community. Murmured words, I think many of you will understand what the murmured words are. It's this digital censorship, this modern-day book burning. People seem to have forgotten about how to count. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3, 4, just to go off on a tangent here. I mean, you've had eagles, which is a representation, because eagles soar above, and they come down and they steal, they get their claws in. Just think of whatever the Roman Empire is, or actually was. It's irrelevant of when it happened. It just is. It's been shown to you. It's been shown to you The second one would be, you could say, is the American eagle, the land of dreams, which is just a fucking nightmare. The third one, well, it's the Third Reich, and now we have talk of the fourth technology revolution. So back to the song. Where are we? Beyond the hard, reluctant windows, news from magazines. Well, it's a reference to the media taking in their scripts. We wrote their names on books we borrowed as if to bring us closer still. Well, that's looking for the answers, put in various characters throughout history on a pedestal in the hope that we're getting closer to the answers. And threw it all away to focus on the main facade. Well, that's being drawn back into that world of fear that the media, the false medium, the non-spiritual medium, that's what the mainstream media is. So it's trying to get you to focus back on the fear all over again. Rage in Eden, jigsaw sequence, but no one could see the end. The rage in Eden is when you find out over and over again that you're faced with it, seeing that everything in this reality is a deception, everything is a lie. Whatever you look at, whichever direction you go. I think if I remember, Matt on Quantum of Conscience has talked of it in terms of whichever way you throw the dart at any topic, you can pull it apart and see it for what it is. But jigsaw sequence, but no one could see the end. It's having these little bits of exposing the lies from the external world, trying to put it together. It's like putting a jigsaw together when you haven't got the original box to look at the original picture. So we're trying to fit bits together. It's pretty much what the subconscious part of the mind does. Some of you will have probably experienced this, where events during the day, when you're in the other days, the sleeping days as opposed to the conscious days, where the mind will rewrite the script and put these little events into a different order and give you a new script. And they were the new gods, and they shone on high. This is the false gods. This is, you could call, what is the so-called elites, where they've set themselves up with their fake wealth. Their heavy perfume on the night sucks them down in red tide. It's basically, if you sell out, you sell your soul for material wealth, you'll end up a star on a Hollywood boulevard. You're on the pavement now, everybody is going to walk on you. Just think about how many of these celebrity names ever say, that's it, I've earned enough money, I'm now going to go off and retire. They don't seem to be able to take that wealth and just go and enjoy their lives. They have to keep being in this system. Another analogy would be any Dracula film. These servants of the Prince of Darkness, they're expendable when their usefulness is over. It's shown to you in every Dracula film, that analogy. And if you think about it, I mean, I've had 3, what I can only describe are like Harry Potter dementors coming at me. You just go and try and embrace them. The unconditional love is so alien to them, it burns them. It's like giving salted popcorn to a caterpillar, as shown in Bug's Life. But you got to feel sorry for them, I think, because if they fail in their mission, what do you think happens to them? There is a thing called a fate worse than death. Imagine being turned to stone or being cast in brass and being fully conscious, like a sleep paralysis for hundreds of years. Not a pleasant prospect. So back to the song. I mean, it says, such them down in a red tide. It's a reference to that base chakra. It's that pulling down into hell. All is through the looking glass. Focus on the main facade. Well, the looking glass is those screens yet again. But it's also the eyes. It's referenced in Noah and the ark. You are the knower because you know something is wrong. Because you've already heard the voice. You've already found that you're standing alone, which is standing in your self-empowerment as we move into this age of acquire us, where we take back our power. And then the final verse. No one can see the end. Here we are. Disciples of the new way, portraits in the new sand. See when they run their longest mile holding cap in wet hands. That's the sacrificial rituals. They're holding caps, begging for the adrenochrome, you could say, for their fake immortality in this realm of death where nothing is eternal. It is finite. It is not infinite. It is not in a fine night. It's their own version of the dark night of the soul. See them when they run their longest mile. Oh yeah, we've done this bit. Eyes upon them, trying to focus on the main facade. Rage in Eden, jigsaw sequence, but no one can see the end. So basically this rage in Eden is when you get to that point of you've looked externally at everything and you found that everything that you look at is not what you thought it was, not the way it was you were told it was. But that external is a reflection of the internal. This is why the rage in Eden is going on inside your head. Your conscious mind is pretty much in conflict with your subconscious. But it's all about listening to your best guide that you've got. That is known only to one. That is your gut feeling. That is your power and wisdom of your Christ consciousness, your God feeling, your gut feeling. That is what is being displayed. So we're going back just to this album cover again. It's the blue and the red, the blue shift, the red shift, being pulled down into that red tide. You could see this horse, the horse sense in this analogy as being your gut feeling. It's encased, it's cradled because it's within your gut. But you want to be going that way, not down that way. But also remember that everything in this reality is flipped over and reversed. It's just down to perception of what do you think is up. I mean, it's interpreted as ascension, but do you want to ascend? Just stay true to yourself. That's what it's all about. Finding your own power. Denying that external fear-porn reality. Be creative, think outside the box, forge your own way through this. Think also about the blacksmith and the whitesmith. Now the blacksmith, I think everybody has an understanding of that. It is something that is put into intense heat, it is forged, it is cast, it is hammered into a shape, it is shaped by this blacksmith. Then it is handed to the whitesmith that will put the decorative parts on it. So, for example, a sword, it would be all the inlaid jewels and things on a ceremonial sword. But they're both smiths at the end of the day. It's this world is a stage. It's very much like a pantomime. I mean, you think the transgender thing is something new? No. It's been going on for a very long time. Think of it's always a man that plays the part of the dame. The hero is often something like Peter Pan is played by a younger woman in this swap over, in their fake version of, which is actually the union of the conscious and the subconscious, the dialogue between the two. But it's about handing over the power to this pineal and the gut feeling, getting that in alignment. This is why you have this straight line between the blue and the red being shown to you. I apologise, it's only a black and white, just a quick sketch I did. So that's basically the third song. I will go on to, in the next video, I'll talk about, oh yes, the next one is rather an interesting song. It's called I Remember Death in the Afternoon. It's got a beautiful shimmering piano sound in that song, if it's the one I'm thinking of. I sort of hear these songs, they come into my mind every now and again. It's part of this sort of spiritual download. It's not that the things are a revelation as such that you see it straight away. It is this expanded consciousness, and then things will come back to you. It may be just a line in a book, the words just leap out at you. My advice would be, if you hear a song come into your mind, then listen to it, because it's a message. If you see particular animals or birds and things, they are signs by the day. Just look up the spiritual meaning on those things. They will reveal a lot. This is the time of the revelations, the reveal. Things will be shown and presented to you. It depends on your spiritual growth. Remember, Eden is a garden where there are seeds. So you want to plant those seeds in good fertile soil in the mind to grow that tree of life within oneself. The clues are all in. It's about going within. It's intelligence. It's intuition. You're being self-taught. It is the power and the wisdom of your gut feeling. It is talking to you. So listen to your body, as it were. Listen to that internal feeling, because the communication is always in feeling. If something doesn't feel right to you, doesn't matter what anybody else says, they're just opinions. Go with what feels right to you. So I will say ta-ta for now, and onwards and upwards.